Welcome to part 16 of the 2023 NFL Draft and Review. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm going to have to be a little more fair to this class because it's only 5 players. I think the back 3 are from like round 4 or later. And this is because the Broncos are pretty far in the hole in trying to kind of right the ship by kind of selling their immediate future for success now. And to this end, they are 3 first-rounders in the hole, 2 to get Russell Wilson, another to get head coach Sean Payton. This has cost them some players that I think that they probably could have used, Noah Fant, Bradley Chubb, for instance. And so far, it hasn't really met with particularly big results, and people, like with the Raiders, have been quick to blame the quarterback. Now, yes, Russell Wilson had a bad season. There were a lot of points in time where he was seen arguing with his teammates on the sideline. A lot of people are thus prone to blaming Drew Lock for what is going on, but blaming Russell Wilson for what's going on, but essentially, I don't put a lot of blame on Wilson because the coaching of this team for the last couple of years has been just abysmal. We'll actually go back a year or two before they got Russell Wilson. They had Pat Shurmur running this offense, and I don't think that has had a good effect on the receivers because Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton should be doing a lot better than this. That's just how I see things. They're better receivers than what we've seen the last 2 years. And then last year they had Nathaniel Hackett at head coach, and I would implore people to remember that it's not like Green Bay was doing fantastically on offense. It was literally Aaron Rodgers dragging the team. This guy at one point had 3 top-level running backs and got, like 1,700 yards out of it. Aaron Jones has never, I think, gone beyond something like 1,200 yards rushing, despite the fact that he is a pretty good runner. They didn't use A.J. Dillon to, I think, the fullest that they could have for a couple of seasons there. It's like, this guy I don't think should have been hired, and his tenure as head coach really proves that. As I heard at one point, the Broncos had to hire somebody to manage the game clock. Now, yes, it is partially the quarterback's job to get the ball off before that time runs out, but it's also the coach's job to get the play in before time runs out. And that was specifically an assistant to help Hackett, not Wilson. I'd make that distinction there. So I think Hackett was a big part of why the Broncos were so bad last season. I think that Sean Payton, being as good of a head coach as he is, having some actual weapons here, can right this ship, and the Broncos should be considerably better this coming season, which will hopefully make this class look a bit better. Otherwise, those 3 first-round picks they managed to end up out of, that could end up coming back to haunt them. So, beginning this off is their first selection, which is second-round receiver Marvin Mims. And like I said, this is a pick that shouldn't be necessary, but it's become necessary because past coaching has really just ruined the other receivers that they've got. Courtland Sutton is not really panning out as good as I would have hoped. He's shown he can be good. It's just between injuries and bad schemes, it's starting to look like he might become expendable. Jerry Jeudy with the injuries same thing going on there. He hasn't really been what a lot of people expected when he came into the NFL. So this pick makes sense from the standpoint that you might have 2 receivers, but no one really knows if they're going to be in Denver that much longer. So we'll go over here and take a look.
Gabriel snaps off the throw. Again, downfield, Marvin Mims. They connect this time, and he rolls down.
It's a little vertical switch release there. You get man-to-man coverage. The Miners will play it, and they don't have anybody that can.
A couple of nice blocks already. This is Mims. Catch and run. Marvin Mims weaving a...
Willis can do it all.
They haven't gotten the ball to Mims for a while, so they're going to do it. And there's Willis on the other side.
Really enjoyed our meetings with the coaching staff yesterday. And a big play in the passing game. Yeah, it could be a very spirited conversation at halftime. That ball's right on target at 2nd and short. Gabriel will do just that. You read that one right.
That's the ball game long. Here, Dylan Gabriel just does the same thing. Mims runs out there 10.
Looks left now, going deep down the sideline. Touchdown! Marvin Mims!
Safety, and is able to find that pocket right down the left side. Too late.
Ultimate teammate right from the start. When he came on the campus, Mike.
Another deep ball caught by Mims. Touchdown.
Dylan Gabriel, good job looking off the safety, and then you'll see he's just running wide open down the field. He puts it perfectly the outside route and allows Mims to walk freely down the field. Sometimes when a guy's that wide open, especially at the quarterback position, it's really difficult to put it on him.
Thompson has now been sacked for the 3rd time. Ushini sends it away. Mims wants a shot at it. He'll get it. Mims to the sideline. Mims at the 40. Mims lowers his shoulder. Rushing 152 yards. Passing. Watch out. Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims still going. And
Savage was up at the line. Gabriel, a deep ball right on the money for Mims.
You are on an island, and this is the anatomy of a deep ball. That's what was so shocking about that miss to Drake Stoops, because when receivers are, they go to zone.
Willis, and it's Mims, and it's Mims. Breaking a tackle. Mims off a block.
Mims on the little slant route here on a linebacker, a backup Purnell in the game. And you're just not going to win in space against number 17.
Gabriel over the middle. Marvin Mims catch and run. Slide.
Gabriel across the middle, and that.
Okay, so assuming that the Broncos keep Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, I think that Marvin Mims, and I think they do have one other guy for effectively this reason. Yeah, Tim Patrick. Assuming they keep those 4 guys together, Mims could offer kind of that somewhat versatile option that the Broncos kind of need. Tim Patrick's not a bad player, but I wouldn't really say that he opens up the field for Sutton and Jeudy to do what they're best at. So I think that Mims could find a role as that short to medium route running sort of player that can allow for Jeudy and Sutton to operate more in medium to long ranges. And I think that will be good for the Broncos offense because obviously if you can protect him and get him receivers that can, know what to do, Russell Wilson can obviously be a fantastic quarterback. We saw it for 10 years. One down season should not be the end of a guy. That's just ridiculous. The guy's pretty much had a Hall of Fame career at this point. There's no reason to say he's done just because of an injury and a bad season. So I think this is a good pick for solidifying the Broncos in terms of options on the offense. They would get their shit together in terms of running back and, just pay Melvin Gordon or whatever it is they're going to do here, then I think they would be in an even better position. So next up comes linebacker Drew Sanders. So we'll come over here, get a peep at the stat line. 6'5". Reasonably big guy for a position. Okay, so he doesn't really appear to have been starting until his last season, which he then put up 103 tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, an interception, good numbers of pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 1 recovered. So this is a stat line that puzzles me because it's hard for me to say where exactly he plays on the field, because inside linebacker tackling, good defensive line, maybe outside linebacker tackle for losses, low end outside linebacker sacks, but then you've also got, pass defense stats, which you're probably going to see from inside linebackers. It's like, I assume that Arkansas was either moving him around or he was played inside linebacker and is just the kind of player that I don't see very often when it comes into the position. So we'll see what goes on here.
The running back position, that young.
Second quickest.
Offense. Oh, it's picked off! What a play by Drew Sanders! Throwing the ball inside. So Jackson Dart never saw Drew Sanders sitting right, watching the man-to-man coverage.
It's a guy.
What'll Bobby Petrino dial up on a 3rd and 1? Right, drilled! What a stop, Drew Sanders!
Awesome. Let's watch him get elevated. Woohoo! Baby! Papa! Woo! Gives me some goosebumps up here. Woo!
And Bobby...
Jaheim Bell tries to turn the corner. Strung out nicely by that Arkansas.
Leverage, outside shoulder. Awesome job by everyone. There's 42 to finish it off. Really good job by...
It's a little sweep. And Gibbs isn't going.
Little touch pass. Can't quite get the block that time on the safety and gets it.
Johnson. Pressure, and it gets to him, and it's Drew Sanders again. Came in
just coming off the left-hand side, one-on-one, working against Zune, the left tackle. Goes long arm with the left arm that Max Johnson could do. Sanders just gets the left tackle.
All right, so that's good news. In the pocket, Bryant's going down. He had time, and nowhere to go with the ball. Drew Sanders.
It's Hunter going laterally, and Drew Sanders.
Watch these guys, especially in this 3-2 front. The way they get after the passer, the way they're able to make...
4-man rush. Again, the pass protection solid. There's a crossover. Drew Sanders.
He's come alive. Shelley under pressure again. Down he goes. Drew Sanders.
Ground, or he puts it up in the air and makes a completion. Doesn't let it happen again. Does a great...
Blitz coming. McDowell leaks out. Bobbles the ball. And it's ripped away. Drew Sanders was...
Sanders, man coverage. Watch the right side of your screen. Just a blur come through. He's got that back in man coverage. He runs...
Daniels. Taken down by Drew Sanders. And Young steps up. Rolls to throw. And they did bring him down as he...
Secondary bought the time to flush the quarterback out, and Sanders ran him down.
Play action on 2nd down. Rolls out. He'll be sacked. What a first
football. It's a little bit of sprint out. Look at the patience, step, now go. See the speed that he collapses through. Nowhere to go with the football. Man, he has become a big-time football player.
Again, they pressure Bennett, and he's going down at the 8.
Okay, so it looks a little bit more like he's actually sort of an outside linebacker that has a good bit of inside linebacker talent set. This could do pretty well with the Broncos. The Broncos have, for a long time, been pretty good at developing players that have versatility like this. The guys that they can move around, the guys that are just, automatically better than most of the other guys on the field. I think that Sanders could be a new one for them, and considering they did trade Bradley Chubb off, there could be an opening on that part of the defense. So I'd say this is one to watch, though I will take it with a bit of a pinch of salt because Sean Payton is an offensive-minded head coach and the defensive coordinator is Vance Joseph. And seeing where Vance Joseph goes, basically wherever he goes in the NFL, the teams do not seem to do so hot on defense. So I'm not sure if Sanders is really going to be an immediate thing or if this is going to be one of those wait a couple of years till the Broncos get a better defensive coordinator type situations. So That'll move us along to their third of 5 picks, cornerback Riley Moss out of Iowa. I think this is a pick they actually got from the Seahawks, which was part of the Russell Wilson trade. So this is kind of another part of can the Broncos capitalize on what they got in exchange for what they gave up, because they gave up a lot in that trade. So for the most part, I would say this is a pretty good interception to pass deflection ratio. He seems to be very good with running with the ball. 3 pick sixes in his out of 11 attempts, and usually a pretty good interception return average, suggesting that he's picking them off and running, not just, picking them and falling them to the ground. And I kind of think it's a little bullshit that immediately ends up playing college football, but, one of those rules that just doesn't seem to change. But it does change that last year, 1 interception to 11 pass deflections, so I kind of hope that he didn't lose his hands in his last season, and it does seem that overall, pretty good tackle numbers for the position. I'm honestly a little curious about this one. Getting 2 interceptions in 4 games, like, why was this guy not a starter earlier? So, here we go. Oh, that's dirty. That is just dirty.
So Merriweather comes in there and gets
I don't see that very often. You just got to feel bad for the quarterback when that happens.
Looks like he really made sure.
1 second and 10. And Illingworth with a pass. This is caught by Dale.
They're going to get the end around to Jones. And it was sniffed out. Red like a...
4 wides. Tagovailoa lets it fly. It's picked off right at midfield. He didn't see the...
And here's a reverse. Penning. And he's chopped down.
Good job getting him by the ankle.
Decker's on the short drop, pumps and then throws. And there's Stanley. Talked about his...
Barney avoids a sack.
Bad throw. Really bad throw.
It was thrown right to him. And it is a pick. 6.
Warriors not quite been the same this evening, though. Morgan, after the play fake, throws a duck, and it's intercepted. And this might go all the way.
That was another pretty bad idea.
Done it again to the Gophers. And he's knocked down.
But it was a post corner. And the ball was late, hung up in the air. Riley Moss wasn't fooled in the first place.
The way of Penn State.
Bradford. Oh, tackle in the backfield, and the ball came out. It is picked up.
Young chucks it to the sideline. James.
Maybe that's the catch he needs to break out. And this time for the end zone. And it is.
Oh, good defense. Look at that. Goes and gets it up at the highest
Yep,
point.
that's just straight up beating the receiver. Not a bad throw, just
in front of Chris Ottman-Bell.
Placed a tiny bit low.
Plummer to the outside, intercepted. He was looking for Bell, and it's picked off by Riley Moss.
There, just tracking the football. It's almost as if he threw it to him. Athletic play, getting up to get.
Kramer lofting down the field. Jump ball. It is picked off by... On 3rd and 8, Bell reaches up, makes the catch, trying to get to the outside, and does not. Great tackle by Ryan.
It's called devil's advocate. Here's Bowser. He does well to stay in bounds.
Down at 10. Sikowski throws, and that ball's out. It's loose inside the 10, and for now it's on.
Have possession of the football. He's got to make a football move for it to be ruled a catch, and that's 3. Looks like he's bracing for contact, right? With that, I assume that that's a football move. That's a...
Mertz just dumps it off to Guerrero, and Guerrero...
Crunchy, satisfying.
All right, so I would say this is one of those selections I have to go down here and take a bit of a look and see what else they got. So obviously Patrick Surtain. There's a couple of guys here that I don't actually recognize. So I won't say that he's a starter, but I would say that he might have a chance because this wasn't really the best secondary at most of the times I saw it last year. So that's just, aside from Surtain, most everybody else is expendable. So Moss could slip in somewhere as a pretty immediate impact maker, but we'll see, because it always comes up. I don't respect defense in the Big Ten. So this is one of those ones of, I like the highlights, I like what I see, but what did I not see? How many times did he get beaten? That's one of those sort of things, so we'll see. Next up is safety J.L. Skinner, Boise State. And, well, I won't really say that I like the tackle numbers for a safety. I want that number to be higher. But the 2021 season shows he can do it, so that's tolerable to me. Good surprising amount of interceptions, especially in that last senior year, 4 in 1 year, so that could be interesting to see.
The reverse into the hands of Presley. Presley, the wide receiver.
I say it, I love Boise State's field. Bluegrass is just aesthetically pleasing.
Just got lit up. J.L. Skinner.
Job of seeing through. He sees the mesh and then comes back, and let's see how he fits it up.
Third down. Popped up in the air and picked off. It's J.L. Skinner.
I said it before, I say it again. You gotta feel bad for the quarterback when that happens.
At 6'4",
It was a wincing the entire time.
That time staying with Tyjon Lindsey, the wide receiver, only 5.
With time, fires into a crest, picked off. Boise State with an interception. And the Broncos.
See Skinner's at the top of your screen. The reason he intercepts this football has become the intended receiver. He gets hit right as he throws. That's the panic, desperate throw.
Pressure coming on Hall. Has to get rid of it, and he's picked off. That's Skinner.
Comes up strong. He could have thrown it short. He could have thrown it in play action, and he's got a short guy in Wade.
Grew up in Egypt. High throw, incompletes.
On 12 carries. Daniel sets up, sore foot and all. On the money, that's Cormier. Cross the 40. Ball was...
What an incredible throw in tight coverage.
I think that's enough for a catch. I think
9 plays, talking about the Rams, have resulted in no gain. And here's Morrow. This time he gets a yard.
The center just puts them into the play. There's nowhere for the running back to go.
Defenders that Boise State really needs. That could have been a pick six.
Acting like B.F. Skinner, man.
Alright, so I'm going to come back to the roster for a real quick minute because I think I saw this listed at, free safety. So that should put him behind Justin Simmons. So, this is basically your basic depth pick, and doesn't look like a bad one. It's really hard to say any depth pick is a bad one unless it's like, ooh, boy, you really shouldn't have picked that guy. So, like I said, this is just depth pick. Where he ends up on the depth chart is really entirely up to his performance through camp and preseason. I do think this is the sort of player that ends up making the team. We might see him in some capacity, special teams, and the occasional backups come out sort of situation when someone needs a breather, because it is Denver, and obviously you sometimes get guys that need to go over to the sideline and suck oxygen for a few seconds. So, that brings it to the final selection, center Alex Forsyth. I'm pretty sure this one's another backup pick. Let's see here, Kyle Fuller. 51 games played, 12 starts. Lloyd Cushenberry, 40 for 40, so this is probably backup, if not third string territory, but we'll, of course, actually, there is a video to watch, so we'll see if he might rise a little bit, but I don't really think he's going to be anything more than just a bench filler. Good job controlling the middleman on that play. Ended up sitting on the guy. So good job pulling out on this play. Tags the guy, which is all he really needs to do to really take him out of the play almost. But he doesn't end up getting there just because of how long the running back is able to stay on his feet. But still, very good gain. Almost gets a touchdown, I think. I went down like the 3. So gets out on the screen, sets the pretty good block there, keep another player out of the way of the runner. So I would say just from the standpoint of experience that Forsyth is probably the 3rd string at first, but I think there's room for him to move up to the default backup position because really all that I really see that I don't like is that he sometimes looks a little sluggish, that he could move just a little bit quicker, a little bit more urgency to, keep up blocks, pick up new guys when he's gotten off, the first guy's gotten off or ran away to another spot on the field. So this is one of those players that I think is going to just be a wait and see. We could potentially see him emerge somewhere else. He might be one of the perennial backups in the league. So it's kind of one of those, I'd say maybe 70-30 sort of players that they're probably not going to amount to much in the NFL, but there is a chance if they're coached up correctly. So, and considering the Broncos have an offensive coach, his chances are probably a little better than normally would be. So, that is going to do it for this draft class. Based on what's here, I just kind of say that this is sort of squarely in the mediocre caliber sort of tiers, that I'd put this at about maybe like a C level sort of thing, because there's not a lot of picks here. Most of them are, later on in the draft, midway through Riley Boston, the 2 late rounders. You don't have a first rounder at all. But based on what they got, Mims has value. Sanders could be a starter if everything goes correctly for him. I could see Riley Boss offering some value to this team as well. Skinner and Forsyth are decent depth padding, but probably not going to see very much of them, so that kind of brings it down a little bit. So I'd put this at about a C. It's kind of a safe mid-tier grade. So if this class ends up looking a lot better, then I just kind of didn't buy any of the hype, and, technically wrong, but still. So with that said, that is going to be the end of this video. So leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I'm fucking up my outro here, something fierce. Well, you know the drill. At any rate, we'll be back on Monday with the defending NFC champions, the Philadelphia Eagles.